Never say no to adventures. Always say yes, otherwise you'll lead a very dull life. You only live twice, once when you were born and once when you look death in the face. I am a poet in deeds, not often in words. People are islands, she said. They don't really touch. However close they are, they're really quite separate. Even if they've been married for 50 years. Mr. Bond, they have a saying in Chicago, once is happenstance. Twice is coincidence. The third time it's enemy action. Surround yourself with human beings, my dear James. They're easier to fight for than principles. The distance between insanity and genius is measured only by success. Once is happenstance. Twice is coincidence. 3 times is enemy action. A woman can put up with almost anything, anything but indifference. Never say no to adventures. Mine's Bond, James Bond. Bond reflected that good Americans were fine people and that most of them seemed to come from Texas. It was the short men that caused all the trouble in the world. The world is not enough. Unfortunately, most ways of making big money take a long time. By the time one has made the money, one is too old to enjoy it. Everyone has the revolver of resignation in his pocket. History is moving pretty quickly these days, and the heroes and villains keep on changing parts. Loneliness becomes a lover, solitude a darling sin. It's just that I'd rather die of drink than of thirst. Most marriages don't add 2 people together. They subtract one from the other. All women love semi-rape. They love to be taken down. It was his sweet brutality against my bruised body that made his act of love so piercingly wonderful. Hope makes a good breakfast. Eat plenty of it. The bitch is dead now. Like all harsh, cold men, he was easily tipped over into sentiment. Love of life is born of the awareness of death, of the dread of it. The gain to the winner is always less than the loss to the loser. Before a man's 40, girls cost nothing. After that you have to pay money, or tell a story. Of the two, it's the story that hurts most. Anyway, I'm not 40 yet. Goldfinger could not have known that high tension was Bond's natural way of life and that pressure and danger relaxed him. Prohibition is the trigger of crime. And people with obsessions, reflected Bond, were blind to danger. They want us dead, said Bond calmly. So we have to stay alive. It reads better than it lives. He shrugged his shoulders to shift the pain of failure. The pain that is so much greater than the pleasure of success. Worry is a dividend paid to disaster before it is due. And then one day when you're playing your little game, you'll suddenly find yourself pinned down like a butterfly. He was a secret agent, and still alive thanks to his exact attention to the detail of his profession. His headache was still sitting over his right eye as if it had been nailed there. Our prisons are full of people who think they're Napoleon, or God. She explained to me later that she must have been possessed by a subconscious desire to be raped. Well, she found me in the mountains and she was raped by me. Surround yourself with human beings, my dear James. They're easier to fight for than principles. He laughed. But don't let me down and become human yourself. We would lose such a wonderful machine. In their talk there was nothing but companionship with a distant undertone of passion. In the background there was the unspoken zest of the promise which, in due course and in their own time, would be met. In his mind he fingered the necklace of the days to come. Just as, at least in one religion, achija is the first of the cardinal sins, so boredom, and particularly the incredible circumstance of waking up bored, was the only vice Bond utterly condemned. You are about to awake when you dream that you are dreaming. I never have more than one drink before dinner. But I do like that one to be large and very strong and very cold and very well made. I hate small portions do anything, particularly when they taste bad. These blithering women who thought they could do a man's work, why the hell couldn't they stay at home and mind their pots and pans and stick to their frocks and gossip and leave men's work to the men? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make bored. The difference between a good golf shot and a bad one is the same as the difference between a beautiful and a plain woman, a matter of millimeters. Why not make it for always? Bond sat for a moment frozen to his chair. Suddenly, there flashed unwanted into his mind that most sinister line in poetry: they reckon ill who leave me out. When me they fly, I am the wings. Danger, like a third man, was standing in the room. What's your name? Bond. James Bond. What's yours? She reflected. Ryder. What Ryder? Honeychild. Bond smiled. When she had failed once or twice to respond to some conversational gambit or other, Bond also relapsed into silence and occupied himself with his own gloomy thoughts. Those who deserve to die, he paused, die the death they deserve, Mr. Big. Once a king, always a king. But once a knight is enough. Oh, it's all been such a lark. Look, my friend, I've got to commit a murder tonight. Not you. Me. So be a good chap and stuff it, would you? Each dark conjecture came and for a moment settled like a vulture on Bond's shoulder and croaked into his ear that he had been a blind fool. Champagne and Benzedrine. Never again. Who is this man? Chinaman, or rather half Chinese and half German. Got a daft name. Calls himself Dr. No, Dr. Julius No. No? Spelt like yes? That's right. You start to die the moment you are born. The whole of life is cutting through the pack with death. So take it easy. Those who deserve to die, die the death they deserve. In his particular line of business, peace had reigned for nearly a year. And peace was killing him.